In the elder days, when the hills of Gaul were yet unscarred by the plough and the forests knew no axe, the world lay in a long and weary twilight. No spring sang forth with blossoms, nor did summer blaze in fullness. The days wandered without number, and the nights crept over the land at their own strange will. The sun, unbound, drifted like a golden leaf upon a windless stream, and the moon's pale eye wandered as if lost. The rivers, knowing no law, swelled and shrank as they pleased, drowning the valleys in sudden torrents, or retreating to leave the plains cracked and barren. The beasts went to their lairs too soon or too late, and the seeds cast into the soil lay idle, heedless of the hand that planted them. Hunger grew among the tribes, and the Druids, wise in their watching of stars, saw that the heavens themselves lacked a master to keep their course. In their desperate need, the people turned their faces to the high places when thunder rolled in the east, calling with fading hope upon Taranis, the wielder of the storm. To him they had given many names: Lord of the Wheel, Keeper of the Year, Breaker of the Black Sky. They raised their voices in lamentation, kindling fires upon the hilltops so that their smoke might climb to his halls of cloud. From the hidden heights above the raging tempest, the great god Taranis beheld their plight. He saw the earth weary in her wandering, the seasons in disarray, and the sky drifting without helm or rudder. In his heart arose both wrath and pity, for he was set from the beginning as the guardian of order among the powers of air and flame. Then he rose from his seat in the storm hall, and his tread shook the vault of heaven. Lightning crowned his brow, and in his hand he bore the hammer whose blows awaken the rain.
The world shall not go ungoverned. I will bind the days into their proper path, and the year shall turn as it was meant from the first dawn.
From the westernmost cliffs, where the sea meets the stone, to the snows of the high Alps, he strode, seeking the metals that might endure the weight of the sky's turning. In the deep caverns beneath the black mountains, he smote the living rock with his hammer, and the veins of copper and gold ran bright beneath the stone. From the heart of the hills he tore iron dark as the midnight sea, tempered in the breath of the storm until it sang beneath his hand. Yet metal alone, however strong, could not frame the wheel that would govern the heavens. He called forth the four winds from their hidden valleys. They came in shapes of swans and eagles, their pinions gleaming with frost and fire, and he bade them lend each a feather from the wing of their might. From these he forged the spokes, so that the eternal breath of the winds would forever guide the turning. The rim he fashioned from the sun's own living fire, which he wrested at dawn from the eastern gate, binding it with bands of iron so that it might blaze without consuming. For 9 long days and nights he labored tirelessly in the forge of clouds, where the anvils are peaks and the bellows the breath of thunder. Each strike of his hammer rang from horizon to horizon, and men far below heard it as a distant rolling in the sky, though they knew not the divine and world-shaping work it heralded. When at last the wheel was shaped, its size was such that 100 rivers could pass through its circle without touching its rim. It glowed with the light of many dawns, and upon its face were graven the runes of seed time and harvest, of frost and thaw, of storm and stillness. These runes no mortal eye might read, but their meaning was written into the beating of every heart, the saps rising in every tree and the flight of every bird. He took up the wheel in both hands, for it must be set upon the axle of the sky, far to the north where the edge of the world stands frozen. Beyond the last green of the earth, where no herd has grazed and no hearth smoke has risen. He came to the waste of white silence. Here the horizon lay like a great wall of frozen glass, and at its heart rose the pillar of heaven, the deep axle upon which the firmament should turn. Yet it stood still, unmoving, bound in a cruel casing of ice so old that even the stars above had dimmed in its long shadow. Around the base of that pillar moved a shape vast and slow, blacker than a moonless midnight. Its form was cloaked in wings that seemed to drink all light, and its eyes were hollow as the depths beneath the sea. This was Taranis, the Devourer of time, who from the first twilight had crept through the spaces between the stars, seeking to still the world's turning so that all things might fall into one endless winter of silence. The golden axle socket was wreathed in chains of frozen shadow, each link thicker than a city wall. The breath of Nertomaros spread a frost that crept even into the farthest airs. Wherever it touched, the sky itself dulled, and the constellations dimmed as if their fires were dying. Taranis raised his voice, a divine challenge, and the frozen plain rang like a struck shield.
Begone, shadow worm, and unbind the axle of the heavens. This turning is the gift of the first fire, and no servant of the dark shall halt it while I endure.
But the blackness of those vast wings closed over the stars. From its hollow gaze came neither word nor roar, but a silence so deep and absolute it pressed upon the soul like a weight. That silence struck against the thunder of Taranis, and the meeting of their powers made the ice tremble and the firmament groan. He lifted his hammer high, a beacon against the gloom, and the vault of heaven shuddered with the gathering of the storm. Clouds surged from every quarter, their bellies lit with the white fire of the lightning. The winds came howling from the four corners of the world, and their fury lashed the plain of ice until it split and groaned beneath their tread. Nertomaros unfurled its wings, and a chilling darkness poured forth like a flood without source or end. It swept over the raging storm with a cold so bitter that even the very flames of lightning dimmed. Every peal of thunder was swallowed, the sound dying before it could echo. The heavens seemed caught between two breaths. Where his hammer fell, the chains of frost cracked and splintered, casting shards into the void. But the Devourer's wings closed heavy over him, pressing him to one knee. Still he rose, for in his heart burned the oath sworn before the tribes of men. For 3 days and nights they strove upon the plain, though no sun nor moon marked the passing. Lightning leapt in white rivers, tearing the darkness, yet each rent was mended as swiftly as it was made. The silence of Nertomaros was unyielding, yet the thunder of Taranis would not be quenched. At last he knew he must strike not wing nor chain, but the stillness in which his foe's strength was rooted. He gathered into his breast the roar of all tempests, the sea gales, the mountain thunder, the sigh of the morning wind, the rustle of leaves, the beat of every wing. All these he wove into one great thunder, and with it he smote the silence itself. The blackness shattered, the wings faltered, their cold grip upon the axle loosed. In that heartbeat, he hurled the wheel high into the heavens. It rose in a blaze of gold and struck the waiting socket of the sky. There it caught and began to turn. Slowly at first it moved, then faster until the spokes sang in the wind and the rim drew the sun in its bright path. The stars wheeled, the frost melted, and rain fell upon the sleeping earth. Rivers awoke, seeds stirred, and the scent of new growth filled the air. The Druids beheld the changing of the heavens. They saw the sun's course steady, the moon take her path, and the constellations march in order. And they knew the year had been born. Taranis descended from the northern waste and came to the green lands of Gaul. The people beheld him crowned in the white blaze of the storm. They bowed in awe, for the sky's course was new, and the earth stirred with life unknown. Upon the midsummer hill he spoke.
The heavens turn, and the year walks its road. This is my gift, one where the silence sought to bind all in darkness. Yet the turning is not assured. The Devourer waits beyond the stars, longing for the day when men forget the bond between storm and seed.
He gave to the Druids the rites of the wheel, songs to call the rain, fires to waken the lightning, and the solemn casting of grain into the first furrow.
Keep these with truth of heart, and the harvest shall not fail. Neglect them, and winter will lie upon the world without end.
The tribes swore the covenant in the sight of the sun and the turning heavens. And each year thereafter they kindled the sacred fire, sang to the thunder, and poured the first cup of mead upon the soil. Long ages have passed since that first turning. Yet in the quiet of a midsummer night, when the storm walks the horizon and thunder speaks in the distance, the old ones say it is Taranis himself, making his rounds, listening for the voices that keep his covenant, and watching for the shadow that waits beyond the edge of the world.